Snow gently fell across Manhattan's skyline, painting silver across the towering glass buildings. On the 52nd floor of one such tower, silence hung in the air like a velvet curtain. This silence wasn't ordinary, it was heavy, sacred, hollow. It belonged to Richard Langston. A billionaire made from sheer grit and brilliance, Richard had everything: global companies, awards, the respect of empires. But in that moment, it meant nothing. His heart was burdened by a single, painful truth: his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, was born with cerebral palsy. She had never spoken clearly, never walked unassisted. Lily was his world, the only light that remained after his wife, Helen, passed away 2 years ago. Her death left behind a void that no wealth could fill. Richard had hired the best therapists, doctors, caregivers money could buy. But none could touch Lily's soul. Then came Maria. Maria wasn't hired through a high-end agency. She didn't come with credentials or glowing references. She was simply a maid, recommended quietly by a janitor in one of Richard's buildings. He barely noticed when she joined, assuming she would fade into the background like the rest, quiet, efficient, uninvolved. But Maria brought warmth. Not in what she said, but how she moved, how she looked at people. Lily noticed first. Instantly. One overcast afternoon, Richard returned early from a conference. The penthouse was oddly quiet, but not with emptiness, it was quiet with rhythm. Curious, he walked toward the sunroom. And then, he froze. There, in the soft glow of the evening sun, Maria was dancing. Not alone, she was holding Lily's tiny hands, helping her sway gently to an imaginary rhythm. Lily was laughing. Richard couldn't breathe. It was the first time he had heard her laugh, a soft, chime-like giggle that cut through years of silence like sunlight through storm clouds. He didn't speak. He just stood there, transfixed. That night, he called Maria in. "I saw you with Lily," he said softly. Maria looked nervous, unsure if she had crossed a line. She was smiling, Richard whispered, tears forming. Maria nodded, "There's music in her heart. I just helped her find it." It was the first time Richard cried since Helen's funeral. Everything changed after that. Maria didn't just clean, she brought life. She sang while working, clapped hands with Lily, told her stories in English and her native Spanish. Lily responded, not just with joy, but with sound, mimicry, even steps with support. Richard started joining in. Hesitantly at first, loosening his tie, finding laughter in his chest again. He learned about Maria's life, how she once trained as a ballet dancer in Puerto Rico, gave it up to support younger siblings, how she sent home every dollar she could. She never complained. One evening, as he watched Lily take 3 small steps toward Maria, Richard realized something profound: happiness wasn't in the wealth he built. It was in moments that filled the heart. The next day, Richard did the unimaginable. He called Maria to his office, not to discipline or dismiss her, but to offer her a partnership. He wanted to build something, a center for children like Lily, one that combined therapy, music, movement, and human connection. He wanted Maria to lead it. Tears welled in Maria's eyes. "I don't know how to run an organization," she said quietly. "You know how to reach a child's heart. I'll teach you the rest." Within a year, the Lily Center opened its doors. Maria became its creative director, designing programs that blended dance, art, and joy into every session. Children who were once told they'd never walk began to step. Those who had never spoken began to express. The center gained attention, donations, and above all, changed lives. Now 10 years old, Lily speaks full sentences and runs down the hallways of the center, her laughter echoing like a melody of hope. One day, a journalist asked Richard during an interview, "You've built billion-dollar empires. What's your greatest achievement?" Richard looked out toward the playground where Maria and Lily danced beneath the spring sky. "My greatest achievement," he smiled, "hiring a maid who taught my daughter to dance. A simple dance, a single laugh, one human connection, and hundreds of lives transformed. Because sometimes, the greatest wealth is the one that lives in our hearts, not our bank accounts. And so, in the heart of a city made of ambition and steel, a billionaire discovered the true meaning of riches, not in the towering skyline, but in the smile of his little girl, and in the humble heart that gave it back to her. New twist, the hidden connection revealed. One day, during a birthday celebration at the center, an elderly woman approached Richard, her hands trembling as she held out an old envelope. "May I have a moment?" she asked, voice shaking. She handed the envelope to Richard. "This is Maria's mother's last will. She was my daughter, and your late father's, too." Richard's breath caught. The will revealed that Maria was, in fact, Richard's half-sister, the result of a hidden relationship his father had never disclosed. Her mother had raised Maria alone, never speaking of her true lineage. Staggered, Richard rose from his chair. He walked straight to Maria. He embraced her. "We're not just friends. Not just partners. We're family." Maria cried, and for the first time, Lily said, loudly and clearly, "Family." And that moment, that word, became the greatest miracle of all.